Can you imagine that only a tiny fraction of Americans ever managed to build a $1 million retirement nest egg, leaving most of us to wonder if we're even on the right financial track? Brace yourself. What you're about to learn will completely upend your assumptions about wealth, savings, and the promise of a secure retirement. Let's dive in by exploring what it really means to have $1 million stashed away exclusively in retirement accounts, and why the numbers are far more startling than you might expect. When we talk about retirement savings, most people picture a glorious future where $1 million represents financial freedom and a life free from the worries of bills or unexpected expenses. But the truth, according to the latest Federal Reserve data, is that only about 2.6% of Americans have achieved that milestone specifically in their retirement accounts, not counting home equity, investments outside retirement, or other assets. Yes, while roughly 7% might be considered millionaires on paper when you tally up everything from their homes to their cars, very few have that liquid, accessible wealth that could actually support them in their later years. Imagine this. If you're aiming to retire comfortably, you're not just building a net worth that looks impressive when you walk into a bank meeting or talk to a financial advisor. You're building a portfolio that actually pays for your everyday living expenses after you stop working. And here's a question to ponder. Why does that elusive $1 million seem so out of reach for most of us? It's not just about pinching pennies. It's about understanding exactly where your money is going and what it's doing to build your future. Let's break down the numbers. The average savings account dedicated solely for retirement is way below what many believe is needed for comfort. According to recent findings, the median retirement savings for American households is a meager $87,000, and even among those in their late 50s and early 60s, the median hovers around $185,000. Contrast that with the idealized image of $1 million nest egg, and you can already sense the financial gap between aspiration and reality. This presents a stark truth. While $1 million once symbolized the peak goal of financial achievement for most Americans, it remains an elusive target, with only a couple out of every 100 reaching that benchmark in retirement accounts. Now, you might ask, is having $1 million really enough? The answer is nuanced. $1 million can offer a surprising degree of stability, covering bills, ensuring food on the table, and providing peace of mind, but it isn't a magic ticket to a life of luxury. In fact, most financial experts agree that $1 million, if managed correctly, should be seen as the starting point for a secure retirement, not the grand finale of a life's wealth. For instance, if you were to invest a $1 million portfolio in a well-performing index like the S&P 500, historical averages suggest that your money could double in roughly 7 years, potentially turning $1 million into $2 million and then into $4 million over time. But this compounding effect can only work if you already have that initial $1 million base, and that's something very few people actually achieve. Let's compare this growth to something different: your home. On average, US home values tend to appreciate at around 4% per year. That might sound good, but even after 7 years, a well-maintained home bought at $1 million might only be worth about $1.3 million. This is a stark reminder that while owning a home can be an important part of your net worth, it isn't nearly as dynamic as a liquid investment portfolio when it comes to doubling your money. What does this mean for you? It means that if your retirement strategy relies heavily on real estate or other non-liquid assets, you might be setting yourself up for a retirement that looks far less comfortable than it did on paper. So why does it seem so challenging for most people to hit that coveted $1 million mark in retirement savings? There are several reasons. First, consistency in contributions is key, and life doesn't always allow us to be consistent. Job losses, family responsibilities, unexpected medical bills, and the temptation to spend on immediate comforts instead of future gains all chip away at your ability to save. There's also the phenomenon of lifestyle inflation, where each raise or bonus ends up funding a bigger car or a nicer house rather than being funneled into a high growth retirement account. I've seen this play out time and again. It's easy to get caught in a cycle where spending to keep up appearances leaves little room for genuine wealth building. Another major factor is time. Achieving $1 million portfolio isn't an overnight miracle. Let's consider a real life scenario. If you start contributing $500 a month to your 401k and achieve a 7% annual return, it can take an entire career, sometimes even longer, before that account hits the $1 million mark. This isn't a failure on your part, it's just a reflection of how compound interest works and why early consistent saving is crucial. Imagine starting at 30 versus 40. The extra decade could mean the difference between missing that milestone or comfortably achieving it. Then there's the common misperception around home equity. Many view a paid off home as a safety net, a kind of hidden retirement fund. But here's the contrarian take. While owning a home is indeed a financial milestone, you can't tap into that asset without selling or borrowing against it. And even then, the available funds rarely match up to the liquidity you would get from a well-diversified retirement portfolio. In effect, putting too much faith in home ownership can leave your retirement strategy dangerously one-dimensional. It's also important to dispel another popular myth that building $1 million retirement fund requires an exceptional income or a stroke of luck. Sure, earning well certainly helps, but it's more about discipline and harnessing the power of compound interest over time. Even starting from scratch at 30, maxing out a Roth IRA consistently with average returns that mirror the S&P 500 means that you have a fighting chance at reaching $1 million by the time you're 65. And believe it or not, even half of that sum, say $500,000, can still provide a solid foundation for a comfortable retirement when supplemented by Social Security, a modest lifestyle, and a paid-off home. Let's put ourselves in the shoes of a typical retiree. Assume you're drawing a 4-5% annual withdrawal from a $1 million portfolio. That translates to about $40,000 to $50,000 per year. Add in Social Security benefits, which average around $24,000 per person per year, and a retired couple might end up with roughly $88,000 to $98,000 on the table annually. In theory, that might sound adequate, but remember, the majority of Americans never even hit that $1 million mark, and many must rely on a combination of savings, Social Security, and part-time income to make ends meet. When you consider that the median retirement savings for Americans between 65 and 74 is only about $200,000, the challenge becomes crystal clear. Here's a visual to help cement the concept. Imagine two individuals, each with a net worth of $1 million. One holds most of that wealth in home equity, while the other has carefully nurtured a diversified portfolio of investments. In a pinch, the investor with liquid assets could potentially retire tomorrow, enjoying access to cash and growth potential, whereas the homeowner, even with an equivalent net worth, finds that their wealth is tied up in an asset they cannot easily convert into spendable money. It's an important lesson. Net worth is merely one piece of the puzzle. Liquidity, how much of that net worth is actively working for you, is what truly defines financial freedom in retirement. So, what actionable insights should you take from all this? If you're not yet a millionaire in retirement savings, don't panic. Instead, focus on cultivating a habit of regular contributions and staying invested for the long haul. Prioritize liquid investments, understand the true value of compound growth, and try to avoid the temptation of spending every little windfall on lifestyle upgrades. Ask yourself, am I building assets that grow over time, or am I merely chasing after the next status symbol? It's a simple yet profound question that could reshape your approach to money. To wrap things up, remember that the path to financial security in retirement isn't measured solely by the size of your bank account on paper. It's defined by how much of that money actually gives you the freedom to live your life on your terms. Whether you're just starting out or are well into your career, make sure you're working toward building a portfolio that won't just look impressive at a glance, but will truly support you when it's time to hang up your work boots. Before we end, I want to leave you with a challenge. Assess your current financial strategy and ask if you're investing in assets that offer both growth and liquidity. Even if you're not dreaming of luxury mansions or private jets, remember that a secure retirement is within reach if you plan wisely, remain disciplined, and let the magic of compound interest take effect. And if this perspective has offered you new insights, hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and share it with someone who might need a financial reality check. Keep questioning, keep planning, and always know that every dollar you invest today builds the foundation for a more secure tomorrow. Here's to making smarter financial moves, one step at a time.